about your study and work a bit. What are you working on right now? What are the challenges that you face that you're going heads on, or are just more laid back right now and say, no, no, I'm just what can we expect of you, or what are you doing right now?
Yeah, I still do what I did originally in some sense, which is to always have some projects going about statistical theory and some applied things. On the applied side,
Yeah.
I've been pretty lucky to be working. We have a group called STAMPS at CMU, which is Statistical Methods for Physical Sciences, and I'm happy to be part of that. And I've been lucky to work with over the years astronomers, and right now I'm working with some particle physicists. So I see that continuing, and I'm part of we have a group here called Delphi, which is an epidemic prediction group that's run by some colleagues in machine learning. And well, of course, we were quite busy during the pandemic, as you might guess.
Yeah,
And
wow.
yeah, so I'm still part of that group, and then I have some theoretical projects going about various aspects of statistical theory. So I just imagine I'll just keep doing those things.
Cool. Now I'm a bit curious. I gotta ask about Delphi project. Like, was it? And I don't want to sound cynical, but like, was it a good thing for the data to have in the modern age another pandemic to like see data points, or was it no, or was it more of a positive for the field, just from the data standpoint and the methods? I mean, not from a human level, or was it a negative in the sense of, okay, we don't know enough and our methods are not correct? What was it like?
It's a mixture. It really is. Epidemic data are very difficult to deal with. That's one thing I learned. So before the pandemic, this group, which and let me just say that the group was started by my colleagues Roni Rosenfeld in machine learning, and Ryan Tibshirani, who statistician, used to be a colleague of mine here, since moved to Berkeley. And it was a very small group. There was a few of us, few faculty, a few students, a few postdocs. Then the pandemic, and the by the way, the focus was usually on flu prediction.
Yeah.
And Roni Rosenfeld had developed quite a strong relationship with the CDC. But of course, when the pandemic hit, they said, hey, guys, you got to switch over to COVID forecasting. And it was a sort of emergency status. And Roni and Ryan built up the group into a very large group, maybe 60 people at one point, 70 people. And they Facebook and Google and various places, CDC, were very generous about giving funding. Google lent us like a whole bunch of engineers for 6 months. It became a very big enterprise. It's still very big. But one thing we learned was how hard it is to predict a pandemic, and especially because the quality of the data was not very good.
Okay.
And of course, things are just constantly changing, and people's responses are constantly changing. So I think we learned a lot about that's the good news, is I think we learned a lot.
Yeah.
And the Delphi, if you look at the Delphi website, for example, it's very sophisticated now, and there's a lot of information there. But it does worry me that how difficult it is, because it means that if there's another pandemic, and I guess there will be eventually, it maybe we'll be better at it the next time around. But it's hard. I mean, the data are not the greatest data in the world, and
may I ask there? And as I said before, if issue with the question, no problem. I'm just curious. You say the quality of the data wasn't that good. I imagine with our modern society, shouldn't like hospitals know how many patients they have? Where are the people, who is when, at which area, traveled with whom, and so on. Shouldn't that be quite good data?
Yeah, but every hospital had different reporting habits, and different states had different reporting habits, and of course people had their hands full, with
Yeah. Wow.
with sickness, and so reporting the data wasn't necessarily their top priority. And so you would get days when you were getting reports of 0 deaths, and then all of a sudden you get this report of a huge number of deaths because they hadn't bothered to upload the data from a few days before, and different
Really?
states were reporting things differently, and so it was quite chaotic. So I think, again, if it happens again, hopefully it'll be a little bit more organized. It certainly was better data than we would have had if the same thing had happened many years ago, because we just didn't have the technology for that kind of reporting. So in that sense, it was better than you would have expected. But getting the data recorded accurately and reported accurately just wasn't a top priority for what was going on at the time.
It's interesting to hear about a little bit about the behind the wheel, what happened, because as a normal citizen, you don't know any about that stuff, and it sure sounds different than the typical. How do the conspiracy theorists say that it was all orchestrated? It doesn't sound like oh, we had it all under control, every single detail.
Yeah, that's the problem with conspiracy theories, is they require this amazing amount of organization, and that just doesn't exist in the world. The world is a pretty chaotic place, and there's no mastermind behind it coordinating things.
Great. I didn't know, for example, that the hospitals don't have all. I thought there's like a standard for, okay, people are sick. This is the 30 variables that you give in for a patient or something like that. Didn't know that it was that different from hospital to hospital. I thought it was a national way of getting the data. Wow.
Well, there probably are some standards. That end of it was not something I was specializing in, but for sure there was a lot of difficulties with the data. It wasn't easy data to deal with.
If you like this clip, watch another one. And if you want to see the whole interview, click here.